Hello everyone, welcome back once again. Let me see if we're having the same technical issue that we had last week. Let me check Facebook. Oh no, it looks like we got it. We got people on Facebook, so Facebook is rolling. So Iman, if you're listening, I think everything is cool. It looks like both platforms are rolling, Facebook and YouTube. By the way, welcome to Golf Cart Garage, another episode of Golf Cart Garage with Tim. I'm your host. We come here every Tuesday. If you need to remember that, Taco Tuesday is the way we remember it. And we come here every Tuesday at 12 noon Central Time, and we go live on Facebook and YouTube. We are live right now on Facebook and YouTube. Unlike last week, for some reason Facebook didn't load, and we were only live last week on YouTube, but looks like everything is working. Looks like everything is working. Stephen Miller is I see you're in the chat over there on YouTube. Don't worry, got your information, everything's cool. Warehouse, we're doing some moving around at the warehouse and it kind of delayed your shipment, but trust me, they've got your information. Dave has got your information, and he's going to get if he hadn't already, I'll get you the tracking number as soon as I get it. But don't worry, it's coming. Steve, everybody congratulate Stephen one more time that he was the last episode's winner of the bag of swag. Let me check Facebook. Joe Williams says you're good on Facebook. All right, cool. Yep, was not good last week. I don't know if you tried to look at it last week, Joe, but Facebook didn't load for some reason last week, but looks like we got it now. Everything is cool. This is Tuesday, February the 11th. Yeah, everything's good, Stephen. It's just slight delay in shipping, that's all. Sorry about that, but you will get it. You will get it. Galactic Technologies, what's going on, Daniel? Tomorrow in huge snow, that's in Detroit. 4 to 7 inches of snow tomorrow in Detroit. Man, we got oh, there's Helpless. It's a beautiful 39 degrees and raining in Cabot. Yeah, that's what it's doing here. Helpless and I are relatively close to each other, and we got rain going on. It looks like we might possibly get some ice from this kind of storm, probably the same storm that Galactic is getting, but we're a little further south, so we're not going to get the snow, but we may get some ice. I think Cabot may get, if you may get more. I think with me it's a hit and a miss. I believe Cabot is a greater possibility of some ice in the next few days or something. If I remember right, if I was looking at the right weather report. Mason, what's up? Checking in from Chili Lake City. -1. Joe Foster, what's going on, sir? 36 and rainy in Kings Mountain, North Carolina. Kevin Salyer, what's up, Kevin? Tommy Bedford, good morning from New Albany. What happened to the warm, beautiful weather? That's what I'm talking about. What happened to the warm, beautiful weather? We had like some teaser days, last week. Rob Cedar, hey Tim, my PC crashed 2 seconds before you announced last week's winner. Oh, it's the guy in the chat right under you, Rob. Stephen Miller was last week's winner. Joe Foster, good on YouTube. Yeah, Cabot has Helpless says in Cabot they got a slight chance of a little ice. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought I saw for the extended weather. Let me check, make sure YouTube is still rolling. Good on Facebook, George Bremer. Hey Tim from Sebastian, Florida. What's going on, George? Kurt, hey Tim, look like we're not going to have spring. 80 degrees here in sunny Florida. What you doing over there on Facebook, Kurt? All right. William Rizzo, what's up, sir? Hello, Tim and good people. 80 degrees in the Villages. Well, I just clicked on some buttons I wasn't supposed to. So let me see if I can get that back. There I am. I need to quit clicking all these buttons. I'm going to end up putting us off the air. Yeah, Facebook is good. YouTube is good. All right, cool. All right, we finally got that technical issue. Every time we fix something, you know, it seems like something else goes wrong, but I think we're good today. Thank you, Ayman, for helping me before I hit the start streaming button today. Okay, let's get started with the regular questions after I run these social media links. This is other places you can follow us on besides YouTube and Facebook. If you do follow us on YouTube and Facebook, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and a like and a subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you subscribe, you get a notification, so you don't even have to remember the Taco Tuesday stuff. You know, you'll get notified on your phone or whatever device you want to be notified on. If you would like to send me some pictures of your golf carts or your dogs or anything cool, you're welcome to. There is my email address. I'm putting it up on the screen. I would like to get some pictures of your golf carts, so please send those to me up there. And keep in mind, that's the number 00 timfreeman@gmail.com. It's not the letters, that's the number 00. And I'll feature them on the show. You send me some pictures and I'll put them up on one of the episodes and show all the members. It's always interesting to see what type of golf carts and what type of applications you use your golf carts for. I've always found that interesting. I don't know. Some people may think that's weird, but I'm into it. It's what I do. All right. We'll get started with the regular questions here. Question number 1 is from Theo. I have a 2006 Precedent, bought new tires a few years, and they are quite worn because we've been driving the cart primarily on roads. Instead of buying the standard golf cart tire, is there a better quality tire I can purchase which would last longer considering the surface? Please let me know. Thanks, from Theo. Well, Theo, I've always had the best luck with tire wear, but I have to admit, I'll tell you which tires I've had the best luck with in just a second. I have to admit that my golf cart habits since the very beginning of me and golf carts, it didn't involve near as much asphalt as a lot of people have used their, for their application. It involves a lot more asphalt. Like, I had some asphalt involved in my golf cart life, but there are some people, like in the villages where William Rizzo is at, where their golf cart is like 100% asphalt. They even go to church, with their golf cart, drive down the street and drive to the store. So it's 100% asphalt. So if that was the case for me, I would definitely stick with some of the name brand tires that have been in the golf cart world forever, like Carlisle. Carlisle was the stock OEM tire on most golf cars for years and years and years. And I've never seen, well, I'm not going to say never, I have not seen any unusual premature wear in Carlisle's unless there was something wrong with the cart, like the alignment. You could have the alignment in the front end could be way off, and that could cause unusual wear, or alignment in the rear end, believe it or not. A lot of golf carts, I know it might be hard to believe, but men on the golf course, sometimes they drink too much and they think their golf cart is a bumper car, and they run into each other and they start having a crazy time and they end up bending things. And I've seen twisted frames. I've seen the rear ends that were out because they got hit in the rear. They're carrying around a lot of weight, can wear tires. But my point is, just to make sure that your problem is not, your excessive wear problem is not just cheap tire related. Carlisle, Kendas, Kenda. I've got those on the little race car. They're very good tires. And I've had good luck with Carlisle's, but like I said, I don't have as much asphalt time as some other people might, like probably even some people in the room. So somebody that has lots of asphalt time, like William, tell us about the brand tires and how are you experiencing wear? like William Rizzo in the Villages. I'm sure that your asphalt time is more than mine. Where am I at here? Ricky Hall. What's going on, Ricky Hall? Larry La Cucaracha. Hey, Larry. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if you tried to come in last week or not, Larry, but the Facebook didn't load for some reason last week. We were only able to go live on YouTube, so I'm glad it seems to be working today. The only turf is when playing golf. Okay, so you're asphalt all the time except for playing golf. That's what I mean. See, that's way more asphalt than I'm actually used to. So that's why I wanted to hear from somebody, you know, that has more asphalt time, and tell me about your just normal tire wear on a golf cart that's aligned correctly and it's more asphalt than I'm used to. Because my asphalt time is probably about 75% off road, 25% asphalt. And I've hardly suffered any tire wear with Carlisle's or Kenda's with that situation. I have Duro tires and my asphalt time is 100%. The wear seems to be more than desirable. Oh, okay, so Duro might not be as good as Carlisle's, or I just, you know, that's what I want to hear. That's the kind of information I need to hear. Thank you there, Zeke. So your wear is more than you would like to see it with 100% asphalt. I got you. Dan Bro, I have a 2001 EasyGo TXT. I just put a 36 volt lithium cloud energy battery in it. Have you heard of them? Yes, I have heard of them. They seem to have good reviews. When the car, it drives fine, but when it hit 17.8, it tops out. Well, that sounds normal there, Dan. I mean, just because you go to a lithium does not mean your cart's going to go any faster, because speed is directly related to your voltage, and that lithium is maybe a little bit higher voltage than your lead acid pack, but it's not very much at all. So it's not going to affect your speed as much as it's going to affect your power or your torque. You know, your golf cart's going to feel like it's a rocket ship just because it's got more power, but your speed is going to be close to the same or maybe a little bit faster. So that everything you're telling me there sounds normal. Rob Cedar says, I'm on asphalt time in 3 days a year. We have Kenda's and I only get 1 year on the fronts and I rotate the tires. Okay, well there you go. That's good to know that even the Kenda's will wear if you do them on 100% asphalt. See, the ones on my race car, they don't really have a lot of miles on them, so I really can't, that wouldn't be a good, it's not a fair judge there, you know, just because they're fine. They've been on the racetrack only. Now the rear ones are a little bit more worn than the front on it, but for other reasons. Kevin Salyer's 98% asphalt for Big Mike and myself. We both run 23s with an aggressive terrain. I am not sure of brand, not sure for brand for either of us. Well, what about wear, Kevin? Are you? I would like to know the brand, but 98% asphalt. Tommy, yeah, well, it could be slightly faster because of the weight loss by going to lithium. But I'm talking about, see, golf cart motors are rated RPMs. If you'll look at your motor, it'll say a certain amount of RPMs on a certain amount of voltage. So in other words, 36, it'll say 36 volt, 2800 RPMs. That's what it's going to get. If it's getting 2800, I mean, if it's getting 36 volts, it's going to spin 2800 RPMs. So a lithium battery is just a little bit higher voltage, is what I'm saying. Just a little bit higher voltage than that. So if the only thing that you did was change to a lithium battery, then that 2800 RPMs is going to be more like 3000 RPM. So it's not going to be a lot. See, voltage is what actually translates into higher speed mainly. Now, power-wise, it's going to be completely off the chart. I mean, that's why I talk about power to weight ratio, because when you lost all that weight, you gained a whole lot of power, because that electric motor is now going to hit top RPM quicker because of weight loss and more powerful battery. So yeah, it could be a little faster, but not a lot, just because of weight loss. Mike is on year 4 of his cart and still planning a life. I traded carts last year, so I'm only on 1 year on my cart and not sure of the age of the tires. Okay. If Mike comes in here, we'll ask him what brand of tire he has, because that's pretty good. 4 years, and I know you and he have a lot of asphalt time on them. Let's say Dan Bro, the torque is there, thumbs up. Is there a way to get it faster? It is the speed sensor or just the controller? Let me back up, Dan, and see what you have. 2001 EasyGo TXT, you didn't tell me, is it a PDS? Or is it does your 2001 TXT, Dan, have a run tow switch? If it does, I know which one it is, and there is a very simple way to get it to about 19 just by changing the plug in your controller. Run tow, yes. Okay, well, then you have a PDS. You have a 2001 EasyGo PDS. Well, I just happen to have this right here. This is can you see this? This is your controller in a 2001 PDS. Right here, this top plug right here, the one that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's got 5 holes in it. That's where you can change when you look at your controller, you'll see that there's something plugged into there, most likely. Well, you can unplug that and put another one in there, and it increases your ground speed just a little bit. I mean, they'll go from anywhere from like 11 point something. There's 4 different plugs you can get. They'll go from 11 point something all the way up to about 19 point something. Now that's if you have the stock controller. This is the stock controller for a PDS. All right, so there is one called a freedom plug. You know, that a lot of people call them chips. Oh, okay, you got the red one. Well, that's the fast one. Okay, that's the fastest one that they have, is the red one. I put a jumper on it already, the red one. I got you. Well, that's what I was talking about. I should have just asked you. But anyway, yeah, the red one is the fastest one for ground speed. Now, you want to go faster than that, then you're going to have to do a controller change. You're going to have to get out of that stock controller. Maybe go to a Navitas controller where you have access to all the settings and get your car completely unlocked. Other than that, you might have to think about a 48 volt conversion. But you can get pretty good on 36 also. You can get pretty fast on 36. You should be able to get up to 20, I would think, with a nice Navitas controller in there. Maybe a shaved magnet, you know, that's another thing you could do to that. Shaved magnet or a high-speed magnet, for, you know, on the speed sensor, you know, under the speed sensor. There's a couple of little tweaks. Yes, you can run a 36 volt motor on 48 volts. Yes, you can. You're going to need to check for heat, you know, when you do something like that. But your motor is pretty much the only thing that is not real voltage sensitive. Your motor can handle a little extra voltage. Your controller, your stock controller, cannot. Your solenoid cannot. So those two things have to be changed. Joe Foster says you can up the size of your tires and wheels, and that will help a little bit on your flat ground top end speed. Taller tires is going to give you a little bit more speed on flat ground with the sacrifice of torque, though. So you got to keep that in mind. That's going to, when you put taller tires, you may lose a little power. And in your case, you've got the lithium in it, so you've got power back. This is probably what you should do. Get you a good controller and see where you're at, and then go from there. You know, that's what I always like to say. You start with the controller change. See where you're at with a nice Navitas controller with wide open settings. See where you're at that point. And then there's some other little tweaks like tires, like what Joe's talking about. Then you can go all the way with high-speed gears. I mean, if you've got the torque, then you can pull high-speed gears. Now that'll really add some miles per hour to your car on flat ground. Let me check over here. Yep, we're still rolling on Facebook. That's good. I'm glad we fixed that. I was worried about that. Number 2. Or did I answer that question? Stick with Carlisle's and or Kendas. And other than that, asphalt's going to get you eventually. I think that's what we came to the conclusion there. Number 2 is from Anthony. I recently converted my 2001 Easy Go to 48 volt with new all-tracks controller and supporting mods. Previously the cart was running 312s, so I replaced with 6/8s. I had been running my LED lights on one of the 12 volt batteries isolated before the conversion, so I needed a reducer. They will run on an 8 volt isolated but not very bright. Purchased an $11 Light Shine 48 to 12 reducer on eBay, as that is my only 12 volt accessory, and I figured that would be fine. When I went to connect the 48 volt leads to the battery, I got a big spark. I connected positive to battery number 1 and negative to battery number 6, and figured the possibility was that it may reverse polarity, so I tried the opposite way and still got sparks. I concluded that the cheapo regulator had a dead short, and the vendor sent me a free replacement. The new one does the same thing. It's not rocket science. Why can't I get this thing to work? The 12 volt leads were obviously wired to my light switch. Lights still work properly when connected to a 12 volt battery. So the switch and lights are not the problem. Any ideas other than I got 2 bad units? Well, Anthony, there goes your lesson about some of that stuff on eBay. Cart was running 312s. Let's see, what did you say? You got I needed a reducer. Purchased an $11. Okay, there's, every time I listen to someone's story, I look for the red flags. Well, that says I purchased an $11 voltage reducer, 48 to 12. I think that might be the red flag I was looking for there. I couldn't remember. I knew there was one. I don't have any experience with any reducer that only cost $11, and I would be skeptical. As a person that has used many reducers and installed many in golf carts, I've never seen one that inexpensive. So that would be my first. That would be my first thought. And you talked about the fact you got 2 bad units. I think that's a possibility. I think the possibility is likely. Joe Foster says he gets 23 with the Freedom plug, but it reduces the motor braking or slowdown. Yes, it does. The 4 plugs gradually have less and less and less regenerative braking, all the way up to the red plug, the one we're talking about, the Freedom plug. It has the least amount of regenerative braking. If I remember right, it still has some, but it's very, very slight, and you'd really have to go on a downhill slope really fast in order to even feel it. Joe says Amazon and eBay scam. Yep, that's kind of where I'm going. I don't see how they get away with that. I mean, do they do that just to get your $11? But they're banking on getting that $11 from many, many, many people. They're just going to scam many, many people, and they're not even going to worry because they're banking on the fact that a lot of these people aren't even going to go through the trouble to return it or get a refund because of $11. I mean, it must be something like that, because I don't see how it's allowed. Never buy the cheapest parts on Amazon. That is correct. Number 3. Where are we at there? Number 3. Number 3 is from Vance. Uh-oh, here we go again. Purchased a cheap 36 to 12 volt reducer on eBay. The other one was 48 to 12, so this is a 36 to 12. I have been reading a little bit about Even when accessories are not in use, the reducer is still draining the batteries. First off, is this true? Well, let's go ahead and answer that now. That would be easy to determine if it's true or not. I have seen that to be true before, but you need to just to do that is you put a voltmeter on the batteries before you connect the reducer, and you'll see the volts drop a little bit if it's a drain. Second, if this is true, don't want to wire the reducer to the 2-position key switch. I have a 3-year-old and do not want the cart on, risk her pressing the pedal and taking off. I would rather just put in a toggle switch to the open 36-volt circuit to the reducer, similar to the tow run switch for the motor. Is this really needed? Well, Vance, that's exactly what I do. What you described you want to do, that's what I always do. That's what I always recommend also, is putting the reducer on a completely separate switch. And by the way, it doesn't even have to be a switch that's easily accessible. You know, if you have worries about a 3-year-old, and you should, though you should. I've had a 3-year-old run one of my golf carts right down an embankment into a pond. She's fine, but she did sink my golf cart, and she was only 3. It didn't take her 2 seconds when she got in that seat to find the key switch and the accelerator pedal, and the golf cart was parked with it in forward. So she hit the key switch and then stomped that accelerator pedal, boom, right down into the pond. But anyway, I would put a separate switch if you have those worries. Dan Bro says, I put the red jumper on it and it seemed like it helped a little bit. At 16, I can feel the brakes start to engage. And by 17.8, it just tops out. So you say cloud energy. Yeah, cloud energy is not your issue. That's not your issue there. That's just normal activity for a PDS system. PDS stands for Precision Drive System, and that's the relationship between your stock controller and your motor. They're both stock, and they're both doing all of that stuff on purpose. That's the name of the system. Now, once you change it, once you go to the a new controller in the Vitas, it's not really a PDS anymore. But when you're going to buy parts, you would still buy parts for a PDS. But you're taking part of the PDS part out of it, because like I said, PDS is the relationship between that motor and that controller. Tommy Bedford, is there any advantage to the regenerative braking other than going downhill? No. Tommy, that's it. Going downhill, it puts a little bit of energy back into the battery pack. So it's supposed to give a golf cart a little more range than it would have without regenerative braking, because every time you go downhill, it puts a little bit of energy back into the pack. So in other words, people like, we've talked about this before on this channel, when a golf pro at a golf course, he's the guy that orders the fleet of golf cars. Well, depending on the terrain of his particular golf course, you got to understand there's all kinds of different golf courses out there with completely different types of terrain. Some really, really flat, some really, really hilly, some drastic hills, that depending on where they built the golf course at. Well, he may order a fleet of golf cars with maximum regenerative braking. Well, the reason he does that, it will keep his participants, on the golf course, it will keep them from just flying down these hills. Because no matter what they do with the gas pedal, even on the floor, it's not going to allow that golf cart to go over a certain amount, and it's also going to put energy back into the battery pack. And there's different levels. That's where different levels of regenerative braking comes in. It's not like all or none. You can go anywhere in between. You can have slight regenerative braking. You can have a lot of regenerative braking. Depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Tommy Bedford says he has his turned all the way off. TV just turned off. Rob Cedar, where I fish, you can rent a cart, and quite a few people have sunk them. Yep. I saved the one that little girl sunk on me. It had brand new batteries in it. I had just done a brand new battery job, but I saved it. Believe it or not, the batteries were fine. They were lead acid batteries. They were brand new. I got the cart out. It's freshwater, by the way, freshwater pond. I bet I had that cart out within 45 minutes. of it going underwater. So, and brand new batteries. So that's probably a reason why I was able to save them. But I mean, the whole top was under, it completely sunk. So I ended up having to, of course, dry everything out. ITS got water in it. Controller was popped. So controller, solenoid popped. Motor, I basically just let it dry out, put a fan on the inside of it. I removed the motor because I'm glad I did, because it had already started to rust some things in there. And then I ended up having to remove brake hubs. A lot of people don't think about that. If you sink your car, you got to think about this. Water not only got damp in your brake area, but it completely soaked your entire brake area, and your entire brake area is not used to that, or it's not supposed to be like that. You're not supposed to drive your car underwater, basically. You can go through water, you know, with your car, but if you soak completely underwater your whole brake assembly area, you're going to get some rust that forms very quickly, because there's not a lot of grease in your brake area, you know, so it's going to rust really quickly. So it's a good idea to, if you sink your car, take your brake hubs off, remove them completely, and dry all of that area out, and maybe even use some WD-40 or some brake clean, and you know, get it all back right before you put it on, just so you can avoid things in the future. Where I fish, you can rent a car. Dan bro, are you still enjoying your suppressor? You sound off last month. Yes, I am. I do have a suppressor. I went through the trouble and the ATF paperwork and all that stuff. I have a suppressor for my little 22 pistol, and it's pretty cool, really cool. I've always wanted one of those. Now I finally did it. I finally did it last year. It is really neat. I will probably never get another gun that is not capable of using a suppressor. In other words, I'm never going to get another gun that doesn't have a threaded barrel, you know, because it's just too enjoyable without having to worry about earplugs and stuff. And on a 22 pistol, I can assure you, you do not need to use earplugs with a suppressor. I got a dead air mask is what I got. That's the suppressor I got. Jim Lancy, good afternoon. What's up, Jim Lancy? Ricky Hall. Tim, you get a spark when you connect most any reducer. It's something about the circuit and voltage reducers. It's kind of scary, but it usually doesn't cause any damage. I have noticed this. He could connect the resistor in series first and pre-charge the capacitors, then connect it. Might try a 47. Yeah, I have noticed that too, Ricky. But I do the, yeah, it's going to be because of the capacitors for sure. I recommend the separate switch for lots of reasons. One of those is for, you know, draining of the batteries, in case there is putting a slight parasitic drain on the batteries. And a lot of times I might put the switch that I'm talking about under the seat, because I don't want people to be able to leave the lights on, you know, or unless they know how to turn my lights on. I don't want them to be able to turn all my lights on, or any of my accessories that is hooked to the voltage reducer. But yeah, I agree totally. Yeah, suppressors, man, they rock. Might be needed. That's how I do it. Okay, where am I at now? Number 4. From Damien, number 4. I installed some cheap running lights from AutoZone. That's nothing wrong with that. I ran the lights to the switch positive and ground to batteries. I grounded the black wires on the lights to the cart frame. The toggle switch lights up, but the lights do not come on. Can you help me out with this? Is the problem the lights being grounded to the cart? Thanks. Well, yes, Damien. I have never used a frame ground on a golf cart. I mean, there's really no reason to. Ground directly to the battery. You know, even if it's a gas cart, ground directly to the battery. You got a positive and a negative post right there on the battery. If it's an electric cart, you have either 6 12s, and you can use positive and negatives across 2 12s. You can use positive and negatives across wherever your reducer is if you've got a voltage reducer going on. But yeah, I'd eliminate that frame ground and see if that cures your problem first. Dan says, so with a lithium battery, do you suggest plugging it in every day when I get home, even after short runs, and letting it shut off on its own? Yes, it's not going to hurt a thing. You know, you might not have to do it on short runs. I mean, I just put a cheap lithium in there, and I haven't charged it in 3 or 4 days, but I hadn't been able to do the test driving that I need to because it's been raining here in Arkansas. But it's up to you. But your charger on the lithium should definitely be a smart charger and definitely be fully automatic, and it's not going to hurt anything. I don't think you need to be a stickler about it. You know, just whenever you're through with it, plug it in, and it'll be good to go. D-Max, there you go. I knew that would get you going. I decided, D-Max, that I wanted to do a little product testing, you know, on different alternatives, different alternative products. So I put one of them D-Max batteries in there, and I haven't had time to test it yet. And if it turns out to be good when I get through my testing, then maybe Golf Cart Garage will start selling them as a less expensive alternative to some of the other lithiums that we have that have great reviews, by the way. But I'm not going to recommend anything, you know, that until I get a great review out of myself on it. So I'm not even going to recommend it to Golf Cart Garage that we should sell this until I get my testing done. But yeah, it's because of you, man. Because of you. What about lead acid batteries for the other folks? Same thing, Dan. Lead acid, unless you're talking about a really old cart with a non-automatic shut-off charger, lead acid is the same way. If it's a relatively modern charger that shuts off on its own, then you can't hurt them. You know, lead acid batteries are pretty much bulletproof, so you're not going to hurt it by charging it too much. So you would definitely do that on lead acid batteries. Now with lithium, you might want to call the whatever particular lithium company that they're from and ask them that question. You know, what do they recommend for after a short run to the mailbox and back? Do I need to put it on charge? Or would it be recommended to put it on charge? Because they all have different opinions on, or they all want you to take care of their batteries the way that they want you to take care of it. But they're not all the same. You know, not all companies are the same. Let's see here, where am I at? Jim Lancy, would it be better to upgrade the motor and controller? I'm thinking 440 and plumb crazy or full Navitas AC swap on a 2018 6-inch lift 22-inch tires. It's always better, Jim, to upgrade the motor, controller, and solenoid. Now, but not everybody can afford to do all of those at once. So I'm saying if you wanted to piece it out, then I always recommend the controller and solenoid first. But yeah, it's always a good idea to upgrade the motor too with that. You'll get the most benefit by doing all 3 of those. I left it, D-Max, I left it 36 because it was 36 before. And I'm going to end up having to install, after I get the driving stuff done, the driving testing, I'm going to end up installing a voltage reducer for the stereo. Because look, that cart's got 4 6x9s in it and a powered subwoofer in the rear. But I'm not able to utilize that because I don't have a voltage reducer hooked to that lithium yet. But I'm going to get the drive stuff out of the way first and figure out if I am going to recommend it before I install the voltage reducer and hook my stereo and stuff back up. But I took it on a little test drive, and it definitely has power. There's no doubt about it. It definitely has power because it's so much lighter, and it's going to be cool. I think I have a little issue. The reason I'm not through with the test driving, I actually think I have a little issue with the motor, believe it or not. I got some hot terminals on the motor for some reason that I've never noticed before. I've never had to check them, but I mean really hot terminals. And it's still, like I said, still just 36 volts. Keith, what's going on, Keith? From Palmetto, Florida, checking in late again. No problem, Keith. Jim Lancy says, what do you suggest, DC or AC? Well, AC at this time would be the ultimate. That's what AC is kind of, that would be the Cadillac. You know, if money was not the object, you know, and a lot of times it's not for somebody. They just want the best. They want the best system. They want it the most efficient system. They want the most up-to-date system. That's going to be the AC golf cart system. If it wasn't, then Alltrax would have come out with their own AC system. You know, for all this time, it was just Navitas. Navitas was the only one that had the AC system for, I don't know, the last few years or last 5 years, something like that. Well, now Alltrax has their own AC system, and there's some other companies that also have an AC system. So AC system would be considered the ultimate. There you go, D-Max. Yeah, you got to get your pretty right before you get your guts right. Yeah, and I want to make sure that the cart runs perfect and is good before I go get the pretty part, which would be the stereo. I got to get the guts right. Okay, number 5 is where I was at. I got a G9 cart and need to replace the switch, but the previous owner removed the old one. I want to just put a push-pull switch in it, but that's only 2-prong. What wires go where? There's a solid red, a black with a red stripe, brown and black. Thanks for any help you can give, Tim. Okay. Well, if it's just I'm not sure I understand your question. If it's just 2 wires, then yeah, sure, a push-pull switch would work fine for the key. I mean, yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen people, you know, they didn't replace the key switch with a key thing. They replaced it with just a push-pull or just a regular switch. But if you got 4 wires, you're going to be missing something if you just hook up a push-pull with only 2 prongs. So I'm not sure that I understand the question. Other than that, I would get a G9 key, you know, that if it's a 4-prong key. But if it's just 2-prong, yes, a push-pull would be fine. Dan, bro, thank you so much for your help. Your show. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy coming here and talking to guys that you know, there's a lot of guys in here now that have experience, you know, golf cart experience, lots of golf cart experience. So that's what I like. I like talking to other people that have golf cart experience and people that don't have experience, that have, you know, questions that maybe I've been through, but if I haven't been through it, I guarantee you somebody in the room, you know, probably has been through it. Like D-Max is the one that turned me on to the battery, so D-Max cost me some money. I had to give it a shot. I had to give it a try. That golf cart's been in need of a battery job for a while now, so I had to give it a shot. Number 6. Let me turn this number 5 off. This is from Carl. I have an early 80s club car 36 volt with a GE motor. 36 volt with a GE motor, club car, 80s club car with a GE motor, and the model number is completely shot. I found another motor locally that is also a GE with the model number this. Okay, that's really close model number, but I'm not sure if the last part of the model number needs to be the same to work. Can I swap these with no issue? Okay, an 80s model club car, 36 volt motor, GE. All right, an 80s model is going to be a series wound golf cart motor. You could actually swap that motor with any series wound motor that would bolt up to a club car rear end with no problem at all, because it just needs to be a series wound motor. The model number doesn't even need to match at all, as if it will bolt up to a club car rear end. Now I would just look for a series wound club car golf cart motor and you'll be fine. I must have said something that Chat GPT on my phone is trying to answer. You know how you accidentally say something that sounds close to Siri or Alexa or something? Well, my phone is blinking. I must have said something close to that. Sir Walter says, I think he's asking where the 4 wires go. He may need a wire. Oh, you're talking about for the Yamaha key switch? Okay, well maybe so. Maybe I didn't understand the question. Yeah, definitely recommend that. And that'll be easy to get, a wiring diagram for a G9. Those are still available on the internet. Just plug in wiring diagram for Yamaha G9. Let me check Facebook. I'm off-roading my car a lot. That's why I'm upgrading. I'm not happy with how it handles on the big hills. Well, I can assure you, Jim, if you go to either one, if you do the full DC, that's going to help you on hills. But if you do the full AC, especially with the big motor, you got a couple of different power motors that you have to choose from with those AC kits. You won't have problems with hills anymore. Okay. Number 7 is where I'm at. This is from Gene. I have this Yamaha 48-volt drive sitting here. I drive it 50 feet or so and something trips. I have to lift the seat, flip the tow run switch, wait 30 seconds back to run, and the same thing happens. Any thoughts? Number 7. Well, there are several possibilities. Batteries, controller, solenoid. There's several possibilities that could cause the exact symptoms that you're describing. But the first thing you need to understand is that it could be as simple as a battery. Try them without flipping the tow run switch. Just let it fail and don't flip anything. Just wait 30 seconds to a minute and see if it'll take off again without you flipping any switches or pushing any buttons. And if it does, it could possibly be a battery. So you want to eliminate your batteries as being the issue first. Number 8. From Matt. We've been having problems with charging. So did the whole check the battery thing and replace some worn wires. When plugged into the PowerWise charger, starts at 20, goes down kind of fast to 15, then 10, then charges for a while, gets hot and shuts off. So I'm not ever getting a charge. Help. Matt. Well, I'm not sure why you don't think you're getting a charge there, Matt, because everything that you've described is normal if you're talking about over a long period of time. Now, you didn't tell me how much time that is taking place. It goes to 20, that's normal, kind of fast, and then it drops to 15 kind of fast. That's actually could be normal too. Then to 10, charges for a while. I don't know how long a while is. It gets hot and shuts off. Well, that's where I'd be wanting to tell you to put a fan on it and check voltage on the batteries at that point. The whole pack. I want to know what your voltage on your whole pack is right before it shuts off. Number 9. This is from, looks like Esther? Is that how you spell it? Esther or Esther? Eric Boucher. What's up, Eric? I see you in the chat there. When we start my husband's G2, but we We can start my husband's G2, but we have to remove the air box and cover the carb mouth with his palm, just so it will start. After running, rear tires jacked up for 10 seconds, the engine simply stops and only a starter motor is running. He repeats the process and gets the same results. He adjusted the timing, cleaned the carbs, and replaced the spark plug. Same results. What could possibly have gone wrong? All he did last week was change the carb joint spacer and nothing else. He thought it was a simple fuel problem. Could it be the ignition coil or pulsar? Any help would be appreciated. Okay, well, let's go back to the very first part of the description. We can start my husband's G2, but we have to remove the air box and cover the carb mouth with his palm just so it will start. All right. What I would do, the way I would think about that, so what are you actually doing when you're covering the carb mouth with your palm and then you try to start the car? Well, and it does start. Well, what you did was you choked off air and you forced the car or the ignition or the fuel system to pump more fuel. That's what you did. You forced it to pump more fuel, and then it cranks. So I think he was on the right track when he says he's got a simple fuel problem. I mean, if that's the only thing going on, it's because that's kind of like choking it. You know, when you pull the choke, it's actually not kind of like it. It's exactly like it is. You pull the choke, you close off the air, and you force more fuel into the system because it forces the pump to force more fuel. So I think you were right in your first assessment there, is that he thought it was a simple fuel problem. Now, I am assuming that he did the timing correctly and everything else that you said there, the carb joint spacer and all of that stuff. But I wouldn't be jumping on ignition coil or pulsar coil until you figure out your fuel deal, until you figure out your fuel delivery. Make sure it's getting fuel. Let me go to Facebook for a second. You're welcome, Jim, on Facebook. Thank you for joining us, by the way, today. By the way, Jim, I don't know if you know or not, but we do give hats away on this channel occasionally. We had a hat winner last week, and I now have more diverse inventory to give away because we got a lot of stuff from Eco Battery. So I actually have some Eco Battery stuff. So there's more to pick from now when it's hat day. You got Golf Cart Garage hats, you got Eco Battery hats, you got Eco Battery t-shirt that you can pick from. Let me show, where's my hats at? Here's the Golf Cart Garage hat that we give away occasionally. You know, you can pick one of those if you would like. It says Golf Cart Garage on it. You can pick one of those colors. I have this hat from Eco Battery with the green stitching. It's pretty cool. We have that one that you could pick from whenever we have hat day. We're not giving a hat away today. I'm just showing some pictures today. Let's see, I showed that one. Oh, and then here's the Eco Battery t-shirt, and there's the other Eco Battery hat with the big patch on it. That's a cool looking hat too. So we have some more merchandise to pick from when we have hat day. Yep. So whenever we have hat day, I'm not going to announce it for next week yet. I might be announcing it next week for the next episode though. It's not going to be. My wife has to help me when we give the hat deal away, and I haven't talked to her about being able to help me with it next episode or not. So we might have to put that off. So because I always try to announce it a week in advance, so I'm not announcing it now. That that's going to be next show. All right. Number 10. This will be the last scheduled question. Yep, Dan, we got some Eco swag to mix in. Sir Walter says it'd be nice to have hat day every show or at least twice monthly. Well, that is on the table, Sir Walter. That's on the table. We're actually discussing that. So it might be twice monthly, especially since Eco got on board and, gave us some more inventory. From Bernard, number 10. What are the pros and cons of 8 6-volt batteries versus 6 8-volt batteries on a 48-volt system. The only con to that is your cart now weighs 120 with the 8 6 volts. Your cart now weighs 120 pounds more. Okay, that's really the only con. 120 pounds heavier because you're carrying around more lead. Now that's the only con I can think of. There's no other con to it other than that, and it might be difficult to find the space to put 2 more batteries in your golf cart. You may have to do some modification or something, if you want to call that a con, to find a place to fit them and to stop them from rattling or rocking back and forth. They need to be secure. So that may cause you a little modification time on your part, and you try to figure out where to put them. That's really the only con, though. The advantages to that is that your cart now has 120 more pounds of lead, so your cart's going to have more range. That's the only reason why anybody would do that. They would switch from 6 8s to 8 6s. The only reason anybody would do that is because they needed more range, and that would accomplish that goal. But today, with lithium prices coming down, most people wouldn't go that route. They would probably just go lithium and take all that stuff out and go with a big lithium. You can get a big amp hour lithium that will do the same thing if all you needed was to increase your range. So most people nowadays, because of prices being where they are at, they're way more reasonable than they used to be. Most people would go that route. Yes, Sir Walter said space. Yep, there you go. 412s, believe it or not, Dan, 412s is not as much lead as 6 8s. A lot of people don't realize that. 6 8s has more lead involved than 412s. So 6 8s is actually going to have more range than 412s. Also, it's been proven over time, that 412s don't last as long. Obviously they don't last as long in distance because there's less lead involved, but they also don't last as long in the long run as 6 8s. That's why, they thought that 412s was going to be the greatest idea in the world when the golf cart companies started making cars with 412s in them. They said, oh yeah, this is cool, 412s. We can hook accessories to one of those 12s. We don't have to use voltage reducer, and 412s, it's a little bit less space. Well, turns out it caused some issues, and a lot of companies like Club Car ended up offering a retrofit battery rack conversion kit if you wanted to convert your car back to 6 8s. Cars that came with 412s. There was a kit that you could install to make it 6 8s because 6 8s has better range and longevity. 412s are fine, but if you just have short distances that you want to go, you just want to play a couple of rounds of golf, they're absolutely fine for that. But I'm just telling you, they do not have as long of a range as 6 8s, and they're not going to last as long in years as 6 8s before you have to replace them. Tim, who else makes motors? D-Max. Who else makes motors like D&D? You're talking about the long stack where your shock hits on Club Car DS. Well, there's a couple of them out there, D-Max. But the first place I'd check with is EMP. EMP is electrical motor products. They make redesigns on existing motors, but they can also sell you some long stack stuff, if that's what you need, or some short stack stuff. EMP stands for electrical motor products. That's exactly what's in there, but that's a long stack motor in there. It's a long one, but it doesn't touch the shock on a TXT. But I know what you're talking about. I've heard about people talking about it touching the shock on a club car. Well, there's something else about that too. Do you really need that shock? That would be my question, because they don't really do much on a 97 club car. You could put just heavy duty springs on it and just get the shock out of the way and probably never even notice it. So that's another way you could look at it. But I'd check with EMP. You can also check with Plum Quick and see what they have as far as as far as that goes. Dan says, do you really get what you pay for when you get the cheaper lithiums? I don't know, Dan. We're going to find out because I put one in there. I don't want to talk too much about brands or anything like that because I'm still doing some testing. But I got one of those cheap lithiums off of Amazon in there. Just can't figure out which one it is. Just take measurements. Take a measurement of it, D-Max, and then call EMP, and they know everything. They know pretty much everything when it comes to that. So does Plum Quick. I mean, they'll be able to answer your question if you didn't want to go to D&D. But D&D is always good. I've always heard good reviews about them too. Love my Plum Quick rattlesnake. Having fun in the snow the other day. Cool. Yeah, Eric's got a Plum Quick. A lot of people do. I've heard good things. I know the owner there. He knows me. I've heard good things about his product. I wouldn't be saying it on this show if I didn't think it was a good product. Okay, that was number 10. Just wish I had a positive rear end. Yeah, they used to have there used to be a product that you could install, Eric, in a TXT rear end, and it turned it into almost a positive traction rear end. But I haven't seen it in a while. I think they quit. That was years ago that there used to be a product like that. Okay, I showed the hat graphic. I showed all those other graphics of the other hats. That's going to be it, guys. Excuse me. I think we're good to go until next time. If you are thinking about going lithium, go to golfcartgarage.com and check out our eco batteries. They are, I believe they're still on sale, 20% off across the board. My coupon is not active, so I'm not going to show my coupon. We need to get another one, so I can't show my coupon because we forgot to get the newest active coupon. So we're going to have to activate that. We'll have that next time. I'll have a coupon for 5% off. Joe Foster, no, I do not have any picks this time. So, but if anybody would like to send me some, please do. There's the email. If you'd like to send me some pictures of golf cart or whatever. Sir Walter, you are correct. You are absolutely correct. I've had this cough for about a month, or a little over a month. And I'm better, but when I talk for a long period of time, like on this show, it's like right at the end of the show, you know, it's time for me to stop, you know, because as long as I'm not talking, everything is fine. But yeah, you're right. It's been lingering. It has been lingering, but I am getting better. But it has taken me a while. I don't know if I had the flu or what, but there was definitely a cough involved, and I'm still getting over it. Okay, I can't comment on YouTube for some reason. Jim Lancy. Just put in new lead acid in my TXT. Next time I'll be going lithium. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe next time they'll be even less expensive. You know, because if you got a good set of lead acid, it might be 4 or 5 years before you need to get anything else. Anyway, y'all send me some pics of some golf cart stuff, and I'll feature them on the show. And I'll let y'all know also about when the next time we're going to give some swag away. Steven said his new green hat he's getting will match his cart. Cool. All right, guys. I will see everybody next Tuesday, which will be, looks like what is it? It looks like it's going to be the 18th. Y'all come back. Garage is now closed.